Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another movie review. Today, we're going to be discussing 1985's To Live and Die in L.A. This is a request. This is a request from the Fractal Curve, so thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And the film is directed by William Friedkin, written by William Friedkin, based on a book by Gerald Petrovich of the same name. It stars William Peterson, Willem Dafoe, John Pankow, Deborah Fuhrer, John Turturro, Darlene Flugel, Dean Stockwell, Steve James, Robert Downey Sr., and others. The plot synopsis is a fearless Secret Service agent will stop at nothing to bring down the counterfeiter who killed his partner. So, yeah, I really like William Friedkin, Bill Friedkin, as I call him, because we're best friends. I really like Friedkin. He's cool. He's got his own kind of vibe. He does his own kind of things. You know, if you don't know, he did, The French Connection, The Exorcist. What else has he done? In recent years, the Killer Joe, Bug, which I got to revisit those in the near future. I probably will. This inspired me. I was like, oh man, I got to watch some Friedkin movies. He did Cruising. Have you ever seen Cruising with Al Pacino? He guy's got kind of this interesting, kind of hard edge, kind of aesthetic to the things that he does. The movies that he makes have a real texture. It's like something that's very close to some form of reality. Or he wants you to feel like it. He wants you to feel like you're in a tangible space. This movie is a little interesting, though. This movie reminds me a lot of the work of Michael Mann. You know, Michael Mann, director of Heat, Manhunter, Thief. That's the kind of vibe I got from this, because Michael Mann is a guy that takes these seemingly not ordinary stories, but these kind of what you would imagine would be these really hard-edged, couched in reality type movies, and really blows them up to as big as possible and makes them about archetypes and stuff like that. But he does it in a way that's very subtle. This is a little less subtle. I would say, if I were to say this, the vibe of this movie is this neo crime thriller opera. All of the characters are really big, and the music is really big, and it's got a lot of thick synth. Thick synth. I'm trying to say that, Jesus. And it really just makes everything feel just huge. Every moment feels big. Every reveal feels big. All the action feels important. And that's, a testament, I think, to Friedkin's direction, especially. I mean, this movie's it's not very realistic in a sense, right? It feels like it's couched in this very hard nose, and these guys are trying to find these counterfeiters and going through the kind of the procedural nature of doing that. But that's really not the point of the movie. It's really a movie that's more about, in very kind of basic terms, morality and good and evil, and how the characters kind of represent those. Because you don't really get a large sense of the interior life of these people. You get a little hints here and there. They flesh them out a little bit. But there is kind of a two-dimensionality. Jesus, can't talk today. Two-dimensionality to their characters. They're not real characters. They don't feel like real people. I would say that Michael Mann probably does a little bit better job of giving his characters a deeper inner life. But this is not the aim of this movie. It's very, very obvious that it's not. He wanted to do something kind of grand. Take a LA crime story and blow it up as big as possible. And that, I think, he achieves in spades. I had never seen this, I don't think. Or maybe I had, when I was really young. But it felt like a new watch to me. It felt like a fresh watch of this movie. And I really loved it. I was just kind of hooked into it, and I had watched some Michael Mann stuff, some of his earlier stuff recently, watching Manhunter. Excuse me. So it really kind of reminded me of that. It felt of the same place. They're coming from the same place in terms of the way they make movies. The cinematography is by Robbie Mueller, and he gives this movie a really great kind of vibe and aesthetic. You just feel LA. You feel like it's kind of its griminess, but it's also its beauty. It's kind of everything's kind of just sun-kissed and worn out. And there's lots of like great landscape shots of the city and overlooking LA. It's kind of like that's the canvas for this world where we're going to paint the story into. And it's constantly kind of reminding you of that, of kind of this larger, broader spectrum of life in LA. And that this is happening, and this feels like to these people, it feels like the most important thing in the world. Because it is, right? And it touches on a lot of like great kind of just classical themes of loyalty and themes of expression, themes of purpose. What motivates these men? What motivates all of them? You know, even from Willem Dafoe's character, like what motivates them? What motivates William Peterson's character? They're larger than life, so it really just kind of boils it down to these kind of basic things. Whereas Willem Dafoe, he's doing it because like it makes money. It feels like a kind of a quest for power, thematically, and also it's kind of this adherence to chaos. He views himself as an artist that kind of stumbled into this line of work, and just kind of became intoxicated with being the king of it, you know. And then you have the Secret Service agents. Especially William Peterson, who feels this deep sense of responsibility, this deep sense of loyalty to the job and his partner. And his partner, spoiler alert, gets killed early on in the movie, right? Like 2 days before retirement. Like I said, it's all this stuff is so archetypal. It's like it plays out kind of like a Greek tragedy by the end of the movie, which is just a crazy sequence, but. So it has all of these kind of these, which you could say almost is like stereotypes of like crime dramas that you've probably seen. You'll recognize a lot of the beats in the movie, 100%. But it doesn't have, not all movies have this kind of a flair, I'll say, because it's being hyper real. And everything about the movie, like I said, the cinematography, the score, what is it, Wang Chung do the score to this? Kind of like the way Tangerine Dream did the score for Thief, Michael Mann's Thief. Yeah, Wang Chung did the score. And it's a fucking rad score, too. I love the score. I would buy the score on vinyl if I could. So many great pieces of music. So many great moments. Because the music plays such a huge part in what makes everything feel epic and big. And it does it in a way that is very much tied to the 80s, too, as well. Just because of the way like the synth and the synth score and stuff, it feels very much of that time and place and of that part of LA. You know, it's really impressive. It's an impressive package. The performances, all the performances are really solid. I think Willem Dafoe, it's kind of an earlier movie for him, definitely steals the show, and he seems like he understands more than maybe some of the other actors what kind of movie he's making. Now, whether or not that's, I don't know if he literally did or if that's just the direction of Friedkin, which it very well could have been. But he seems like he really kind of gets what he's doing, because Willem Dafoe, while he's great in the movie, he's big and he's broad. He's the villain, the capital V villain of the piece. William Peterson is a little bit more low-key, but he's also just very fucking hard-nosed, determined. Like there isn't a lot going on in terms of, I think, like, the emotionality of the character. He has, like, a singular purpose. Willem Dafoe has a singular purpose. And they will not be deterred. It's fate. It's bigger than the minutia of life. This is fate. This is destiny. And they're just running at full tilt towards it and towards each other. And I loved it. I mean, and that's the whole thing, just the operatic nature of it is just underscored all the time. Nothing underscores it more, I think, than the end of the movie, where you have like the William Peterson's like kind of new partner, who's kind of in the background for a lot of the movie. He doesn't really assert himself as a character until the third act. Chases Willem Dafoe to his hideout, to his like studio, and everything's on fire and they're burning, and he's going through like a burning building with his gun drawn, and and he's gonna arrest him, but he can't, and then he ends up just setting the dude on fire and then fucking blowing him away. Like, it's just big like that. Like the whole, like this, like that feels very like Dante Alighieri. It feels very like Inferno, like this descent into hell for this character. And yeah, I had a really great time watching it. It's something that will definitely be on my kind of future rotation to watch on a semi-regular basis, maybe watch it every couple of years or something. So thanks a lot, Fractal, for bringing it to my attention or reminding me to check it out, because it has been on my list for a while. Things like, I gotta either rewatch or watch that for the first time because I wasn't sure kind of really if I had seen it or not. And I'm really happy I did. I've been really kind of enjoying going back and watching movies from this era. Because last year I watched a lot of Michael Mann movies. I didn't get a chance to talk about a lot of them on the channel. But, I was watching like Thief and what's that? The Keep. Friggin' Heat. The Insider. Kind of just watching movies like this. Watched some Friedkin stuff. I think I watched Cruising last year again. And it's cool. Friedkin's really an eclectic director if you look at his body of work. Like The French Connection is very much its own thing. The Exorcist is very much its own thing. To Live and Die in LA is very much his own thing. Then there's like Bug and Killer Joe. He's the guy that really understands the fundamentals. And he does have a voice. Like he does feel like an authorial presence when you watch his movies. But he can kind of touch any genre and make a good, solid movie. In the same way, like, John Borman. I think John Borman, a little more workmanlike, director of Point Blank and Zardoz and Excalibur. A little bit more workmanlike, maybe less of a authorial presence, but the similarity they have is that they both like have the fundamentals of how to make a story work down so pat that it doesn't really matter what genre or what type of story they want to tell. They'll be able to tell it. I mean, granted, you got to have at least a decent script. And if I do have one criticism for To Live and Die in LA is that, it's something I think the movie gets away with, but it's pretty contrived. There's a lot of contrived and a lot of like kind of accidental meetings, things that like coincidences that happen that kind of propel the plot forward rather than it being something from the smarts of the characters or something they do directly. Which is something that always just bothers me in movies. But I would say thematically, like I said, the kind of the big operatic nature of the movie, the broadness of it, that it's pretty easy to forget those things. And even you can make an argument, I think, that it's kind of part of the experience is those things. Like I said, there is kind of this aspect of fatalism in the film that seems like it's one of the themes of the movie. So the idea that coincidence happen that actually kind of propel the plot, it's not like crazy. It's not crazy. It's just like a little bugaboo of mine. But beyond that, like, I cannot recommend this movie higher. Cannot recommend it more. You definitely go check it out if you've never seen it. I think you'll enjoy it. I think especially if you're a fan of Friedkin, you're a fan of Michael Mann, you're a fan of those types of movies. I think you will find a home here. I think it's good. So, yeah. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, there's a bunch of links in the description. Also, if you'd like to make a recommendation for one of these movie reviews, just leave a comment. See, like today, went over Fractal's recommendations. So definitely keep the recommendations coming, and I'm more than happy to check it out and talk about it when I can. All right, everybody. You have the best day ever. Goodbye.